What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Fresh Review. Now you're new to the channel. What we do here, we review each and every game of the NFL season. This is our Week 14 review, and this week started off with what I consider to be the game of the week, the Thursday night football game between the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. And we scored each of these games on 0 to 100. And I want to talk about how spectacular this game was. But before we do that, I got to talk about Dan Campbell's balls. Yes, you heard me correct. We got to talk about his balls. The biggest balls in NFL history. I'm an Eagle fan. Nick Sirianni got a pair of big balls as well. I measured them. They're not as big as Dan Campbell's. Going for it on fourth down a total of 5 times. That's not just belief in your offense. That's disrespectful to the other team's defense. The Green Bay Packers should be ashamed of themselves for letting this man go for it on you 5 times in one game, and they still win the game. There's probably some teams that don't even go for it 5 times in the course of a season on fourth down, right? They're super conservative. These guys here, balls to the wall. Dan Campbell, complete psychopath. Doesn't care about the media harassing him after the game. The fans saying, oh, you should have went for it. The analysts, the players. He ain't worried about nothing, bro. Go for it. Now, we got to talk about the performances for this game. Josh Jacobs in particular, 3 rushing TDs for him. I want to get Josh Jacobs on a cover. Hopefully I'll be able to do it because the Green Bay Packers have had some solid performances, especially from Josh Jacobs over these past few weeks. He's definitely a cover athlete worthy person. He goes for 3 rushing touchdowns on 66 rushing yards. Jordan Love goes for 206 passing yards and a passing TDs. I mean, they get 4 TDs. Their offense is solid. Did what they had to do. Christian Watson led the way by having over half those yards. He had 114 receiving yards on 4 catches. Now we go look at the Detroit Lions. On the other hand, Jared Goff, 3 passing TDs, 1 interception. 2 of those passing TDs came on fourth down conversions. He also goes for 283 passing yards. Then you look at David Montgomery. He goes for 51 rushing yards and a TD. Jahmyr Gibbs kind of gets bottled up. He's normally the more explosive back. He had a 20-yard carry, but other than that, 14 carries for 23 yards for the rest of the game. So he finished with 43 rushing yards. But I want to talk about the final play of the game. 4th and 1. Of course, Detroit's going for it. They could have kicked the field goal to make it a 6-point game. They're up by 3. Packers are out of timeout. They decide to hand it off. They believe in their O-line. They hand off to David Montgomery. But in the process, Jared Goff trips and falls, and he gets the handoff off. And I think his knee actually might have been down. But it's not a quarterback kneel down, I guess, whatever the case may be. Get the handoff off, and they still get the first down on the 4th down conversion. Ballsy play there by Dan Campbell. Could have ended in disaster, but the Detroit Lions win a tough divisional game, further extend their lead in this NFC North division. Very tough division. The Vikings are right there with them. The Packers, while won this game, it really became a 3-team race. But the Lions took care of business at home, won this divisional matchup, and now it's just between the Lions and the Vikings for the NFC North crown and the potential first seed in the NFC. Very important first seed. But I thought that game was spectacular. I'm giving it a 98 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next game. The Jacksonville Jaguars take on the Tennessee Titans in a game that was low scoring. 10-6 was the final score here. Not very entertaining whatsoever. Mac Jones got for 220 passing yards, 2 interceptions. Like, Trevor Lawrence wasn't great this season, but Mac Jones, oh my. When you think it can't get worse, it can always get worse. Tank Bigsby leads the way carry-wise. He out-carries Travis Etienne 18 carries to 4. Tank Bigsby gets 55 rushing yards and a TD. So it looks like Tank Bigsby is the number 1 running back for this offense. In the 4th quarter, when they needed the go-ahead score, they relied on Tank Bigsby to get it. Now, Travis Etienne does contribute, though. He goes for 4 catches, 50 receiving yards. So he is more dynamic as a pass catcher, so it seems like they're doing a 1A, 1B, but Etienne's getting the 3rd down role in the passing workload. And BTJ has another solid game here. He leads the way receiving-wise. 8 catches, 86 yards, 12 targets. So another game he's getting double-digit targets. So Matt Jones at least knows who to throw the ball to. Now we got to look at the Tennessee Titans. Will Levis does absolutely nothing this game. 168 passing yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, no memes. So I guess Will Levis is a solid game for his standards. Tony Pollard, solid game here, though. 102 rushing yards on the ground. Calvin Ridley's their number 1 target over there. He gets a 30-yard catch, but other than that, he got 6 catches for 29 yards. So that one play was longer than all his other catches, and he did that on 12 targets. And Nick Westbrook-Akine, the infinite money glitch, did not get a touchdown this game. He only finished with one catch for 19 yards. Although the score was 10-6, so it was a close game, it was still a bad game. I'm not sure either of these teams even wanted to win. The Jaguars are tanking for Travis Hunter. The Titans are tanking for, I don't know what they're tanking for. They need everything. They need a new quarterback, they need a whole new organization. They need to go back to the Houston Oilers. They need a whole lot of tanking. But that brings us to our next game. The New York Jets take on the Miami Dolphins. And, you know, I'm talking about not wanting to win. This was an amazing game. But I'm not sure the Jets wanted to win because this is an absolute blunder by one of the best players in the league, Davante Adams. So they're up and they're going for the game-winning field goal late in the game, whatever the case may be. But Davante Adams let somebody push him out of bounds. So they kick a 42-yard field goal with 52 seconds left. If Davante Adams stays in bounds, they get to run off another 40 seconds. And then that field goal, there's only like 12 seconds left. The Dolphins don't have the time to go down the field and get the game time field goal. And that's what the Dolphins end up doing. They go down the field, get the game time field goal, they force overtime. And then Jonnu Smith had been playing great all season long. Had 0 catches. But then, when they needed him most in overtime, 0 catches in regulation. He goes for 3 catches, 44 yards, and the game-winning touchdown in overtime. And the Dolphins win 32-26, and they keep their playoff hopes alive. Tua finished this game with 331 passing yards, 2 passing TDs. He went 33 of 47 passing. Devon Achane got bottled up in the run game. Longest run was only 7 yards, so he's an explosive back. Got bottled up, 14 carries, 24 yards. Did have a rushing TD, but he still contributes through the receiving game. 6 catches, 45 yards. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle both produced this game. So against a stout New York Jets pass defense, they both eat. They combined for 19 catches, 214 receiving yards, and a TD for Tyreek Hill. But they might have been outdone. Can you look at the other side, the New York Jets? They are right there with them. Garrett Wilson, Davante Adams, they combined for 16 catches, 223 receiving yards, and a TD as well. Braylon Allen got the start here. Isaiah Davis was right there with him. Breece Hall was out with a knee injury. Hopefully Breece Hall can return soon. But there's no need to rush him back. The season's over. So they might not even play him. They might just deactivate him. That's what I would do personally. And just see what Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis can do. Because Braylon Allen goes for 11 carries, 43 yards here. And then Isaiah Davis goes for 10 carries, 40 yards. And Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen both contribute in the receiving department. And Isaiah Davis did get a rushing TD as well. But Braylon Allen goes for 4 catches, 38 yards. Isaiah Davis, 3 catches, 27 yards. Aaron Rodgers, solid game here by him personally. He goes over 300 passing yards again. So, you know, he had that long drought, would not go over 300 yards. He gets it this week again. 339 passing yards and a passing TD. But it still wasn't enough for them to get the win, as they fall short to the Miami Dolphins, and now they are 3-10, and they're almost in the first overall pick conversation. Like, that's how bad it is right now for the New York Jets. But I thought this game was amazing. Like I said earlier, I'm giving a 94 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next game. The Atlanta Falcons take on the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Sam Darnold is our cover athlete, but in our weekly pick'em sheet, I picked the Falcons to win this game. This is a must-win game for the Falcons. They needed this win badly. Kirk Cousins' revenge game. I thought this game was going to live up to the hype, be a shootout. So, Kirk Cousins, 344 passing yards, 0 passing TDs, 2 interceptions. A whole lot of garbage time. Now we go look at the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold, 347 passing yards. So he had 3 more yards than him, but this is also on 9 fewer attempts. Sam Darnold, 5 touchdowns. 3 of those touchdowns went to Jordan Addison. 2 of those went to Justin Jefferson. And I thought about putting Addison on the cover or Jefferson on the cover, but I had to go Sam Darnold here because I don't know what the future holds for Sam Darnold, but I think if he's on a different team next year, he's having an MVP caliber year. I want to put this man on the cover athlete. I know Jefferson's a future first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm gonna be able to get him on the cover athlete next year if I'm able to get on it this year. Addison was definitely the person I would have went, but I decided to go Darnold because I think Darnold is a little bit more marketable. I'm not sure how well Addison what I did on the cover athlete. Let me know what you guys did down below, Sam Darnold or Jordan Addison, but it's definitely going to be one of these performances. Because like I said, Darnold, 5 passing TDs. We go look at Addison here, though. 8 catches, 133 yards, and 3 receiving TDs. Justin Jefferson, he's right there behind him. 7 catches, 132 yards, and 2 receiving TDs. So great game here by the Minnesota Vikings, and they look 100% justified from moving from Kirk Cousins. Now we gotta look at the rushing game for Atlanta. They definitely had that popping off, and it's kind of disappointing this game was so bad. Final score was 42-21. But Bijan Robinson goes for 22 carries, 92 rushing yards, and a TD. You count his receiving workload. He had 9 receiving yards. That puts him over 100, 101 to be exact, like a fever. And now Tyler Algier, 9 carries, 63 yards, and a TD. Had the longest run of 25 yards. And then Darnell Mooney, he had a great game here. 6 catches, 142 yards. Ray McLeod, been a solid third wide receiver for this team. 8 catches, 98 yards for him. And Drake London, 5 catches, 70 yards. Kyle Pitts, ever since National Tight Ends Day, he just decided to take the year off. 1 catch, 14 yards here for him. He's just not getting a lot of snap count, especially since he's not that great of a blocker. So since the Falcons' run game was working so well, they don't really use him too much. But this game was actually solid until Ray McLeod fumbles on the punt return or kickoff return. Can't remember which one. He fumbles. The Vikings were up 7. They recover that. They score another touchdown, so they basically double dip. And then that pretty much ended it when Kirk Cousins came out and then threw an interception. The Vikings scored again. So game was tied 21-21. 3 quick scores by the Vikings, and game was already over. 42-21. So the score is a little bit more misleading than what the game would have you think. The game was solid for the first 3 quarters. You didn't know who was going to win. Then you just got routed in the fourth. So it makes it tough to judge. I'm still going to give it a good score, though. I'm going to give it a 73 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next one, which was the New Orleans Saints take on the New York Giants. Now, this Poverty Bowl was decently entertaining. I will not lie to you. The Giants found themselves down 14-3 towards the end of the game. They get a touchdown. I'm thinking it's just garbage time, whatever. The game should be over. Giants have not been able to do anything all game, but they get this touchdown. Tyrone Tracy runs it in. They get the 2-point conversion, so they make it 14-11. They get the stop on offense. Well, stop on defense, and they get the ball back. Now that they have the ball back, what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. They're actually going to move the ball, and they're going to get into field goal range, a 35-yard field goal. So they're inside the red zone. It's a chip shot field goal. And the kick looks like it's going to go right down the middle, except it's going to get blocked, and it's not going to be good. And that is how the cookie crumbles. The Giants almost come back and steal a game, but they fall out short. Drew Lock didn't get much going for them passing-wise. 227 yards on 49 pass attempts. So 4.6 yards per attempt. Threw an interception. Not a great game passing-wise, but he did run the ball well. 5 carries, 59 yards. Now, Tyrone Tracy had the almost caught to the game-tying touchdown, the game-winning. No, it was neither of that. But it did reduce the lead. He did have that TD, but he ran 16 carries, 45 yards. He's such an interesting player because I think he's good and not good at the same time. It's so interesting. He gets such a large workload, so he usually has solid stats. But like you watch him, like okay, he's okayish. But somebody that's not okay is Malik Neighbors. He is a dog. He goes for 5 catches, 79 yards. Even with abysmal quarterback play, he is still producing. So I'm not ready to call this man DeAndre Hopkins yet, but bad quarterback play your whole career, and you can keep putting up numbers. Hey, you might be D-Hop 2.0. Now we go over to the flip side, the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr looked like he injured his hand here, diving out of bounds, trying to get a first down. I don't know how serious this injury will be. How long will he be out? They don't really have a chance to make the playoffs, in my opinion. They're 5-8. I think the Bucks or the Falcons will win this division. Mainly the Bucks, since the Falcons are just reeling right now. There's no end in sight unless they make a switch to Michael Penix. But Derek Carr, 219 passing yards, one touchdown, one interception. Okay game here for him, but he did miss the rest of this game. Jake Hayner did come in and take the final kneel down. You look at Alvin Kamara, bottled up this game, 17 carries, 44 yards. Kendre Miller returning from his injury that he was on IR for, but he might have not had to have been on IR. The previous coach decided to put him on IR for some reason just because he didn't like Kendre. That's what I heard. And now that's what you heard. I don't know if I made that up, if somebody else made that up. I don't know what's going on there. But Kendre's back. He goes for 10 carries, 32 yards, and a touchdown. So I'm curious to see what Kendre does the rest of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if Kendre gets a larger and larger workload as the season goes on, because Kamara's a veteran. He knows everything and stuff. You could probably just rest Kamara, save him for next year, and then see what Kendre's made of, because eventually Kamara will retire. You will need a replacement running back for Kamara. And Kendre Miller, they drafted him to be that guy. Let's see how good he is. I think he should get a larger workload as the season goes on. We look at wide receiver wise, Marquez Valdez-Scantling leads the way, 4 catches, 51 yards. Not much there, but Jawan Johnson did go for 4 catches, 50 yards, and a TD. This is like one of those games where it was boring most of the time. Like, you ever seen the movie? Boring most of the time, but the plot twist, the ending, is like, oh, that made it above average. Slightly above average. I'm going to give it a 58 out of 100. But most of the time, this game was nothing to write home about. Now we're going on to our next game, which is the Carolina Panthers take on the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Carolina Panthers, they lose another close game. But this team is fighting. The way they have played the Kansas City Chiefs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Philadelphia Eagles, 3 playoff teams, all the one-score games. That means they are at least competitive over there. And Dave Canales and the Bryce Young-led Carolina Panthers are a formidable foe. I said if they played us tough, I would give them some praise, and they did play us tough. But it wasn't enough, though. My boy Jalen Hurts, 108 passing yards, 5.1 yards per attempt, on 21 attempts. Had 2 passing TDs, one to the returning Devontae Smith. A.J. Brown led the way for us with 43 receiving yards, but yeah, this wasn't a great performance here by Jalen Hurts. Now, people are slandering this man's name in the media. Jalen Hurts, how soon they forget he was an MVP candidate. We just like to hand the ball off to number 26, who had 20 carries, 124 yards this game. That's what we like to do. Jalen Hurts on the ground, also 8 carries, 59 yards in a rushing TD. Longest run of 35 yards. Now, people forget. So, Jalen Hurts will remind y'all, he can throw the ball as well as anybody in this league. He a top 5 quarterback, and he's not 5. Okay, let me think. Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Allen. All right, he might be 5, but he's still top 5. Y'all will soon understand. He might, I'm going to say he might do that next week, but he don't be reading Twitter. He don't control his Instagram and all that. He don't hear y'all chirping. He don't care about any of that. But when the playoffs come around, trust and believe. I ain't worried about number 1. Now, we go look at the other side. Bryce Young goes for 191 passing yards, 1 passing TD, 1 interception. Chuba Hubbard, though, 26 carries, 92 yards, and 1 TD. Why did Chuba have so much workload? Because Jonathan Brooks, the rookie running back that just came off an ACL tear, fully recovered, tore his ACL again. Non-contact injury. And this one hurts because I had so many dynasty shares of Jonathan Brooks, and he somehow believed it. I thought he was a solid running back. I thought he might have won in the first round if he was fully healthy. I had him as the best running back in this class, and he goes down. So even his next season's in jeopardy, because it took him like 12 to 13 months to recover from the first ACL tear. Tears the same ACL, so you're expecting another 12 to 13 month rest, recovery, rehab. You're expecting that again, but why even bring him back next year? Because just give him like an 18, 19 months, right? Extra time to rest. It's so unfortunate for him. Hopefully he does rehab well, makes a full, healthy, speedy recovery. But Adam Thielen leads the way here. He gets 9 catches, 102 receiving yards. So that Bryce Young and Adam Thielen connection does continue. I wonder what the Panthers do in the draft, because they're going to be at an interesting spot because they're 3-10. They could even be the number one pick. If they get Travis Hunter, you'll think he'd play corner, but you can also play him at wide receiver. They got that flexibility there. So because I think they need a wide receiver. I like Xavier Legette. I'm not sure he's a true number one wideout. Adam Thielen is still producing, but he's old as dirt. Like, you don't really want Adam Thielen going for 100 yards, I think, this late in his career. And you don't know when he'll fall off, if he will fall off. You don't know. I mean, this man might be Jerry Rice 2.0, the white version. I don't know. 1,000 yard seasons every time he's healthy. I don't know what's going on here. But Adam Thielen still over 100 yards, had some big catches on their final drive when they tried to go get the game-winning drive. They lost this game 16-22. But solid game here by the Carolina Panthers. They were up even in the second half, but it wasn't enough. And what I thought was a really good game, I'm giving it a 76 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next one, which is the Cleveland Browns take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now the Steelers are facing another divisional matchup. Divisional matchups can be a little tricky at times. They just beat the Bengals last week. Russell Wilson got the cover athlete for that one. How does Russell Wilson respond after that? He comes back with 158 passing yards and 2 passing TDs. So not nearly as great of a game, but they still do win this one kind of decisively. Najee Harris goes for 16 carries for 53 yards on the ground. He gets a rushing TD as well. Jaylen Warren goes for 47 rushing yards. So they combine for 25 carries, 100 rushing yards. Absolute mid. That's about as average as you can get. Pat Freiermuth, though, leads the way for the Steelers. 3 catches, 48 yards, and a passing TD. So with no George Pickens, he's out due to injury. Pat Freiermuth, I want to say stepped up. I mean, it's just a bad game here. I won't even lie to you. It wasn't a very entertaining game. Go look at the Browns on the flip side. I knew this was going to be a tough game for Jameis because the Steelers defense game-wrecking with TJ Watt and them boys around them. Winston's going to make some mistakes here. And he did. He threw 2 interceptions, had 2 passing TDs as well, 212 passing yards. It's your typical Jameis Winston game. You take the good, the bad, and the ugly, you get Jameis Winston. I won't lie to you. Not a very entertaining game offensively for either of these offenses. Jerry Jeudy led the way for the team. He had 5 catches, 64 yards, and a TD. David Njoku had 7 catches, 42 yards, and a TD. So Jameis can get the best out of his playmakers around him. I don't think these are elite weapons he has over there in Cleveland, especially with Nick Chubb after that knee injury. He's not looking nearly as explosive as before. He had 11 carries, 48 yards, and then Jerome Ford had 10 carries for 28 yards. But there's nothing good about this game, really. This game was below average, without a doubt. Well below average. I'm giving it a 34 out of 100. And now we're going on to our next game, which was the Las Vegas Raiders take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Raiders did exactly what they needed to do here. They took another L. They fall down to 2-11. So I believe they're the first overall pick right now. And that's exactly what they want to be. First or second, right? It seemed like maybe even top 3. As long as you're top 3, you get Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, or Shedeur Sanders, you're in good hands. And the Raiders, Aidan O'Connell started this game, but Desmond Ridder finished it. O'Connell finished with 104 passing yards and an interception before exiting due to a knee injury. Hopefully he's okay, but supposedly it doesn't look good according to Coach Pierce, Antonio Pierce that is. Sincere McCormick got the start at running back, 15 carries, 78 yards. Solid game there. We got to look at the receivers, though. Michael Mayer leads the way at tight end. Brock Bowers only had 3 catches for 49 yards. Michael Mayer has 7 catches for 68 yards. So there might be a new tight end 1 in Las Vegas. All right, all jokes aside, no, let's not even go there. I do have Michael Mayer in one of my dynasty leagues, and I would love for this to be a Gronk and Aaron Hernandez type situation. The PG version. Nope, none of that other stuff that happened off the field. But I would love for that to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is just an anomaly game here. But Michael Mayer did lead the way. Jacoby Myers right there with him, though. 7 catches, 67 yards. Now we go look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield. He goes for 3 passing TDs. Those 2 interceptions, though. Rashad White leads the way on the ground. 17 carries, 90 yards, and 1 TD. Bucky Irving got injured this game. He only finished with 4 carries for 3 yards. Hopefully, he can make a recovery and come back next week or come back soon. Wide receiver wise, K. Dalton goes for 3 catches, 70 yards, so he leads the way there. Mike Evans, 4 catches, 69 yards. That's under the number he needs. Now he's looking at about 95 yards per game. If Mike Evans can average that over the next 4 games, he can get to 1,000 yards and keep his streak alive. Will he get there? Only time will tell. But Jalen McMillan, he got 2 of Baker's passing TDs here. So Jalen McMillan, the guy they got from Washington, rookie, I dropped him in one of my fantasy leagues. He starts balling out. I got Mike Evans in that fantasy league. I need those TDs to go to Mike Evans, Baker. So I'm not too mad that J Mac scores them, but I'm not really playing J Mac. I am playing Mike Evans, Baker. We got to get Mike Evans to 1,000 yards, and we got to give him some TDs as well, right? Don't want a man have a 1,000 yard season and no touchdowns like he's Trey McBride, right? You let man get 1,000 yards, double-digit TDs, 100 catches, Baker. I believe in you. I'm expecting a better game next week, Baker. I need one. Now, for this game, I thought it was about as mid as it can get. I'm giving it a 48 out of 100. There wasn't anything too crazy here. The Raiders did keep it within one score until the Buccaneers scored late in the fourth quarter. That made it a two-score game. So it was at least decently close. The Raiders were always kind of in striking distance, but when Desmond Ridder came in, you kind of knew the game was over. Now we're going on to our next game, which is the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Arizona Cardinals. And I thought the Cardinals would play much better than this since they just lost to the Seahawks. Like that game was in Seattle. We're going to see them in a couple weeks. Kyler, lead your team. They need you to make this playoff push. No, Kyler said, Kyle's out. I don't even care anymore. The Cardinals are just falling apart. But I can't even be mad at the Cardinals because I do feel like they overachieved this year drastically. But Kyler finished this game with 259 yards, 2 passing TDs, 2 interceptions. At least this time, the interceptions didn't go to the house, right? So that's what happened last time these teams played. The wide receiver that or the receiver I should say that let the way for the Cardinals was once again Trey McBride. He had 7 catches, 70 yards. Michael Wilson had 1 TD. James Conner had the other TD that Kyler threw. Marvin Harrison Jr. 4 catches, 49 yards. Okay game here for Marv, whatever the case may be. James Conner on the ground though, still producing. 18 carries, 90 yards. He kind of is receiving. He had 4 catches, 32 yards, so over 100 yards. He also got that receiving TD I talked about earlier. So, okay game there by the Cardinals. Go look at the Seahawks, though. No Kenneth Walker. He's out. So, Zach Charbonnet steps up, and he balls out. I was surprised when the Seahawks drafted him. Kind of like, you drafted Zach Charbonnet when you already had Kenneth Walker. Do you need both of them, whatever the case may be? Maybe they wanted to get the Detroit Lions stuff going on. But whenever Kenneth Walker is healthy, they don't really use Zach Charbonnet. I think they need to start using Zach Charbonnet more, like how the Detroit Lions use David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, have that nice 1-2 punch. Because Zach Charbonnet goes for 22 carries, 134 yards, and 2 rushing TDs. He also gets you 7 catches, 59 yards. So you add all that up, you get 193 yards. And that's including his epic 51-yard TD run where he just ran through the middle. He's going beast mode on them and stuff. I love seeing it. I had Zach Charbonnet in my defensive players league, and I'm playing my boy Kev, my homeboy, and he had Kenneth Walker. So no Kenneth Walker for him. Yes to Zach Charbonnet for me, and I loved every bit of it. We also go look at the wide receivers here. I got JSN. JSN leads the way with 5 catches, 82 yards, and a receiving TD, so I love that as well. DK Metcalf, 4 catches, 49 yards. Tyler Lockett, 0 catches, 0 yards. Tyler Lockett's kind of getting phased out of this offense. He's out there running wind sprints again. Love to see that as a JSN owner. But it looks like JSN is slowly but surely becoming the number 1 wide receiver for this team, especially when it comes to receptions. He's getting open at a high volume. And him and Gino are developing great chemistry. Gino finished this game with 233 passing yards and a passing TD. After the Cardinals scored on the opening drive and took a 7-0 lead, the Seahawks outscored them 24-3 the rest of the first half to take a 24-10 lead, and then the game pretty much over after that. So, slightly disappointing game here because I thought this game would have been much closer. Overall, I thought it was above average, though. Slightly above average because there's some entertaining plays here. I'm giving it 55 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next game. which was a game that was absolutely spectacular. It was far from average. It was the Buffalo Bills take on the LA Rams. And I wanted to put Josh Allen the cover athlete here. I really did. Because Josh Allen had 6 TDs compared to Sam Darnold, but I gave the slight edge to Sam Darnold. And I promise you, the Bills are going to make the playoffs. I will have Josh Allen, if I don't have him on any week here, I will have Josh Allen on the cover athlete for one of the playoff rounds. Maybe, well, what he plays bad. Don't quote me on that, but I want to get Josh Allen because he's been great all season long. He's an MVP candidate. I want to get him on one of these cover athletes. And I thought about doing it last week when he had the hat trick and all that with the receiving TD. This week he definitely deserved it. They lost this game though to the Rams, 44-42, but Josh Allen was sensational. He went for 342 passing yards and 3 passing TDs. He led the way on the ground with 10 carries, 82 yards, and 3 rushing TDs. The man was in beast mode. Well, wide receiver wise for them, Khalil Shakir led the way. He had 5 catches, 106 yards, and 1 TD. He had a 51-yard TD down the middle of the field where I don't know what the Rams are doing. They just let this man run right down the middle of the field on a drag route. Inexcusable defense here. Inexcusable defense all game long. And then Amari Cooper, solid game here by him. 6 catches, 95 yards. They still got no Keon Coleman, still no Dalton Kincaid. But Josh Allen doesn't care, man. He's a one-man army. Ty Johnson and Mac Hollins get the other TDs. Now, we go look at the LA Rams. The LA Rams, on the flip side, Matthew Stafford, 320 passing yards, 2 passing TDs, 23 of 30 passing. Great game here by Matthew Stafford. Puka Nacua is the number 1 wideout. I thought it was a 1A, 1B. There's a 1 and a 2. And Puka is number 1. Cooper Kupp is number 2 right now. You could tell by all the plays that Cooper Kupp used to get, where bubble screen, get it in his hands, see what he can do. All those goes to Puka. All the end arounds, the wide receiver reverses, all those go to Puka. Puka had 5 carries this game for 16 yards and a rushing TD. And the funny thing about the rushing TD, they ran the jet sweep, and then Sean McVay called the timeout right before it. So I thought they were going to come out with a whole new play. Nope, they just flip it and then run the jet sweep the other way. So it actually worked both times. You could actually see when Puka got the ball, he was about to run into the end zone the first time, and then they just did that same thing the second time. So Puka, that's what he did on the ground. But in the air, 12 catches, 162 yards, and a TD, including the bubble screen he took to the house that won them the game. Well, at least stretched their lead out far enough where the Bills couldn't come back. Bills tried to get an onside kick at the end of the game, weren't able to do so. Kyron Williams, 29 carries, 87 rushing yards, 2 rushing TDs. Blake Corum, 8 carries, 34 yards. I forgot to tell you guys Cooper Kupp stats. 5 catches, 92 yards, and a receiving TD as well. So not nearly as good as Puka's, but still a solid game there by Kupp. But he is definitely the number 2 on this offense. I thought this game was absolutely spectacular. It was a game of the week contender. It probably would be on my game of the year list. Top 25 games or top 24 games. I don't know how many I'm going to do. But I have this as a 97 out of 100. Now we're going on to our next one, which was another amazing game to watch, as the 49ers dismantled the Chicago Bears, and Isaac Guerrero, 15 carries, 78 rushing yards, 2 rushing TDs. He also had 2 catches for 50 yards, and both of those were big plays, a 27-yard catch and a 23-yard catch. Solid game there by him. My boy Jake is about to defeat Dan. Dan, 11-0, about to lose because somebody did not pick up Isaac Guerrero on the waiver wire. Love to see it. So then Brock Purdy, 325 passing yards and 2 passing TDs. Elite game here by Brock Purdy. No McCaffrey, no Ayuk. You can almost say no Debo because he's just out there doing nothing. And Purdy's still producing. And the Niners offense still looking solid with Kyle Shanahan calling the shots. So solid game here by the Niners offense. They won this game 38-13. On the flip side, Caleb Williams, 134 passing yards, 2 passing TDs. Both those TDs went to Rome Odunze, who finished with 4 catches for 42 yards. DJ Moore had 6 catches for 49 yards. DeAndre Swift doesn't get anything going on the ground, of course. And overall, this was a below average game. I'm giving a 47 out of 100, and we're going on to our next one. which was the Sunday night game that's also the game of the week contender. The LA Chargers take on the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm sick and tired of the Chiefs, bro. I don't know the fancy guys, the football guys. I don't know what they got with the Chiefs, bro. I don't know if the Chiefs got them hostage or they just got insane amounts of favor. But the Kansas City Chiefs won a game off a blocked field goal against Denver. And this time they win a game because their backup kicker, Matthew Wright, Harrison Bucker being out, has a chip shot 31-yard field goal. He doinks it off the upright and inside. So they win 19-17. Oh my goodness, what a game. Now, Mahomes, he goes for 210 passing yards and a passing TD. Not a crazy game here for Mahomes. Isaiah Pacheco, though, basically I took Kareem Hunt's job, or I won't say took his job. Isaiah Pacheco just got his job back. There we go. 14 carries, 55 rushing yards there. Kareem Hunt, 5 carries, 16 yards. So Pacheco's back in his lead workhorse role. Travis Kelce led the way here with 5 catches, 45 yards. DeAndre Hopkins had Mahomes 1 passing TD. Now we go look at the Chargers. 213 yards here by Justin Herbert. Gus Edwards, he also had a passing TD. Gus Edwards, though, 10 carries, 36 yards, and a rushing TD. Joshua Palmer led the way this game for the Chargers. 6 catches, 78 yards. I thought he was going to have a big year this year. It'd been the Lat McConkey show, but Lat McConkey is out this game, so Joshua Palmer steps up. Every time the starting wideouts go out, Josh Palmer just steps up. But when he's the starter, whatever. But Stone Smart filled in. He had 3 catches, 54 yards. He filled in for Will Dissly, who got injured midway through this game. So Stone Smart was smart to capitalize on his opportunity. And I thought this game was spectacular. I'm giving it a 97 out of 100. The Chiefs clinched the division yet again for the 9th straight time. So, divisional matchup here came down to the wire. Epic finish. 97 out of 100. And we're going on to our final game, which is the Monday night game. The Cincinnati Bengals take on the Dallas Cowboys. And I don't really want to call this a must-win game for the Cincinnati Bengals because 9-8, they probably don't make the playoffs. Even though there is a chance. They're not mathematically eliminated yet. But I tell you what there is no chance of. Joe Burrow not going for over 300 passing yards and 3 passing TDs. You can book it every week. He goes for 369 passing yards, 3 passing TDs. He also threw a pick, but who cares about that? When he's doing what he's doing, Jamar Chase is doing what he's doing. Jamar Chase, 14 catches, 177 yards, 2 receiving TDs. And Chase Brown got the other receiving TD. He had 6 catches, 65 yards in that receiving TD. Chase Brown also had 14 carries for 58 yards on the ground. So you add all that up, you get 123 total yards for Chase Brown. Now we go look at the Cowboys on the flip side. Cooper Rush is filling in for the injured Dak Prescott, of course. Cooper Rush, 2 passing TDs and an interception. 183 passing yards there for him. Rico Dowdle, another game with over 100 rushing yards. Sneaky but solid runner. 18 carries, 131 rushing yards. CeeDee Lamb, solid game here for him and Cooper Rush. 6 catches, 93 yards, and a TD for CeeDee Lamb. But it just wasn't enough because that Burrow and Chase connection. Game on the line. They get the go-ahead TD in the final minute of the game. And the Cowboys didn't have enough time to go down the field and respond. They got to force some stuff. They turn the ball over on downs. And that is how the game ends. 27-20, Cincinnati wins. What I'm going to call a really good game, 79 out of 100. And that will conclude this review. So thank you guys so much for watching. You made it this far. Leave a comment. I don't really get many comments. I promise you I respond to all my comments. Leave a comment. Say giveaway. The word is giveaway. It's an 8-letter word. And I will give you $10. Where else do you get paid to comment? So please leave a comment. I will give you $10. And as always, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope to see you guys on the next one. And by the way, that offer is only for the first person that does it. But you comment second, I'm going to still respond. Take care.